Hi everyone, Spider-Man 1991 here, and it's time for my weekly comic book reviews. Normally I do, for Marvel and DC, I usually do whichever company I bought the least amount of comics for this week. This week, however, I bought an even amount, which was 4 Marvels, 4 DCs. So in order to figure out who goes first, I figured I'd just flip a coin. And here we go. And the result is heads, DC. Okay, so DC Comics goes first. Just gotta move all these out of the way. And alright, kicking it off, we've got Smallville, Season 11, Number 10. Superman and Impulse head over to Star Labs, where Emil Hamilton runs some tests on Clark and Bart so that Clark can pretty much reach up to Bart's top speed. And when Clark does reach up to Bart's top speed, he's able to see the Black Flash as well. And in case you're wondering, the Black Flash has been haunting Bart Allen ever since his powers have grown, because he explained to Clark that before he's never really pushed himself to the limit until the episode of Season 6 in Smallville called Justice, when Lex Luthor has Bart captured and Bart's forced to run continuously in this chamber Lex developed for him, and that pretty much pushed Bart to the limit. And when that happened, the Black Flash started to haunt him and appear whenever he used his super speed. So now Clark is able to confirm that the Black Flash does exist and that Bart isn't crazy. So they pretty much go to the museum where all the Justice Society stuff is, and they begin a search to find the original Flash, Jay Garrick. And meanwhile, while what's going on with Clark and Bart, Chloe and Oliver delve into the mystery of the Chloe from Earth 2 by using that old Luthor Tech mind melding machine, so that Chloe can access her doppelganger's memories and figure out what happened on Earth 2 and what the crisis is. Okay, well, Smallville Season 11, I was worried about the Impulse story arc, but now I'm very interested, especially since we're beginning the search for Jay Garrick, the other Justice Society member, and something tells me that they will find Jay Garrick, and once all this is sorted out, I think Bart will probably change his codename to the Flash to honor Jay or something. And I look forward to that. I look forward to the meeting between Jay and Bart. Also, the story arc with... we're finally getting some progression with the whole Chloe from Earth 2 story arc. That's great. And also, Chloe... Last issue we found out Chloe's pregnant, but she and Oliver haven't told anyone yet. Mainly because Chloe knows that Luthor is still tracking Clark, and she can't say anything because she doesn't know if Luthor is going to find out about it or not. So yeah, I'd say Smallville Season 11. If you're a Flash fan and a fan of Smallville, you are definitely going to like this story arc. Okay, next up, the conclusion to Rot World, which takes place in both Animal Man number 17 and Swamp Thing number 17. This is just like the prologue to Rot World, where you had to buy both issues of Animal Man and Swamp Thing for that month. Same thing here, you have to buy both issues in order to get the full conclusion of the Rot World story arc. Alright, well, both teams, Buddy Baker's team and Alec Holland's team, begin their assault on Arcane's fortress. They continue to fight until finally Buddy and Alec meet up with each other. And right when this happens, Arcane sends out an army of Abby clones he made of Abby, Alec's sort of girlfriend, and also Maxine Baker, who's now one of the Hunters 3. And both Swamp Thing and Buddy are very disgusted by this. And in terms of artwork, the stuff drawn in Animal Man is a lot more gory, a little more gory and horror-ish than what goes on in Swamp Thing, because I don't know, there's a real difference in the artwork. And so while after they deal with Maxine and the Abby clones, they try to set off the bat-bomb that Swamp Thing had with him, but Arcane tries to Arcane gets to them. He tries to stop them, but Arcane fails, and Buddy and Alec are able to detonate the bomb in Earth's atmosphere, which severely weakens the rot. And once the bomb goes off, and Alec and Buddy go and track Arcane, and he's heading to the fortress. They find Arcane, but then Arcane jumps into the void of that void thing that they were in right before Rot World began. And right when Arcane jumps in and the portal closes, the real power of the Rot, or I guess as they're known as the Parliament of Decay, show up, and they want to help Buddy and Alec because they apparently they admit that they made a grave mistake making Arcane their avatar, because they're disgusted by his actions. He doesn't have a pure heart, and they decide to send Buddy and Alec back into the void so that they could try to stop Arcane before Rot World happens. And that's pretty much the conclusion to Rot World. All I can say about the ending, I knew that was going to happen. I knew somehow Swamp Thing and Animal Man were going to be sent back in time before Rot World began so that they can prevent the whole thing. And as far as what happens next, though, we pretty much get the epilogues next month in both Animal Man and Swamp Thing. I'm only going to get Animal Man. And that's pretty much it. As far as the entire Rot World story arc goes, I thought it was pretty interesting. I only read the animal half, though, so all I can say, I only read the red half, which was taking place in Animal Man, so all I can say about that is it was a very great story arc, very interesting. I do like the change, and the entire Animal Man series, it's definitely changed from a superhero comic to more of a horror comic, to sort of match that up with Swamp Thing, which was done a great job. Both Jeff Lemire and Scott Snyder have done an amazing job on Rot World, and the conclusion for both, if you can get both parts, I would say get it, because you need both issues to get the full conclusion. But I would say, it's totally worth it to get both issues, even though they're worth about $6. It's really worth it. Okay. Now for the one DC comic I was really looking forward to this week. Green Arrow, number 17. Jeff Lemire is taking over as the writer on Green Arrow, which I'm very happy about. And pretty much right now, it opens up with, the first page is pretty much Oliver in the desert, and apparently he's just by himself in the desert. And he thinks to himself how he's lost everything, how he lost his Green Arrow equipment, how he's no longer the head of Queen, how he lost his company and everything. Then the actual issue takes place 3 weeks before that, and it shows Oliver going to see his business associate Emerson about how Queen Industries was sold off, and Emerson tries to explain everything, and then he's about to tell Oliver that your father saw something different. He's about to reveal some big secret about his dad. Then suddenly, someone shoots an arrow and it reaches into Emerson's back. They pull him out of the window, and Oliver's very shocked by this. And right when security comes in, they get the wrong idea. See, it's Oliver standing, Emerson's gone, and the window's broken out. So obviously, they assume Oliver must have pushed Emerson out of the building. And of course, Oliver, because he's Green Arrow, he's able to escape the security guards and tries to contact his friends Jax and Naomi, but they're apparently being held hostage. And right when he's talking to Jax and Naomi, the Queen Industry, a bomb goes off in the Queen Industries building, and with all the confusion, Oliver sneaks away, and he's able to get to one of the safe houses he's set up, and he gets all his Green Arrow equipment together. But then he's attacked by another archer named Komodo, and apparently Komodo raided Oliver's arsenal of trick arrows back at Q-Corps, which is obviously how his friends are held hostage. And pretty much Oliver tries to fight Komodo. He's trying to hold his own, but unfortunately Komodo gets the upper hand, and he's about to shoot Oliver in the head. But then suddenly a man named Magus appears and helps Oliver and tells him that that Oliver was never supposed to leave the island he was stranded on. Okay, Green Arrow number 17. This is definitely a great opening issue. I really do like. I'll be honest. When I read the first Green Arrow trade, I really wasn't into it. It was just something about it seemed off. But this one, this issue is really starting to get me back into Green Arrow, the comic book, and it does seem to sort of follow the. It seems to follow the theme of the TV show Arrow, with Oliver, a secret kept by Oliver's father, and now it's going to relate back to Oliver's actions on the island. So, it seems to follow that theme, which is very nice, since a lot of people are probably going to start buying Green Arrow because of the TV show. And if you are a fan of Arrow, I would say you should pick this issue up because it's amazing, and I think you're going to love Jeff Lemire's first story arc. Okay, now it's time for Marvel Comics. Starting off, Iron Man number 6, the first part in the God Killer story arc. Tony's pretty much. The issue opens up with Tony fighting off some space pirates, and he's actually enjoying himself for once. He thinks to himself, he's been in space before, but it's mostly been for work with the Avengers or dealing with some cosmic threat to the Earth. But now he's in space and he's taking the time to enjoy himself. And later Tony goes to a space bar and he tries to hook up with this purple chick, but she rejects him when he takes off his, flips open his little Iron Man mask, and she sees that he has a beard, and she's completely disgusted by that, and she throws him out, which was really funny. And after Tony gets rejected, he's attacked by some RoboCops, and they try to arrest him, and after Tony blows them up to bits, one of the heads is still left, and the head says that Tony's wanted for, they're here to arrest Tony, and Tony's like, okay, I don't want any trouble, so he goes with them, and when he's in jail, the Chief Justice Supreme of the planet shows up, and she says that Tony asks what he's being charged for, and they say that he's being charged for killing their god, the Phoenix. Okay, so yeah, a little bit of an AVX Aftermath story arc. I don't really think that we need the banner on the cover because, well, it feels like it's been a while since AVX concluded and everything, but whatever. If Marvel wants to keep the banner on, then fine. But other than that, I thought this was a great opening issue. I really liked the first few pages when Tony's just thinking to him, doing his own little monologue, and he says that he's never taken the time to enjoy this, and I thought that was very nice. It's interesting to see Tony actually. I mean, whenever you see superheroes in space, they're typically out there because of work. Now, in Tony's case, he's just taking a vacation, just trying to get his head together, and he's having a good time. That is until he gets rejected by a purple chick because he has a beard. That was also funny, and also the way the Pepper AI is portrayed in this, she behaves exactly like how you expect Pepper Potts to behave in these situations, which is really funny. Which is really funny to read. So if you're a fan of Tony and Pepper, you're gonna love this. This is also something that takes Iron Man out of his element. Usually he's on space. Usually he's on Earth dealing with some sort of tech criminal or AIM. But in this case, he's actually out there in space and he's dealing with other threats, which it's a new change of pace. And also, it is interesting to see what Tony Stark's actions in Avengers vs. X-Men are gonna or how they're gonna keep up with him now. So yeah, if you enjoyed Avengers vs. X-Men, then you should probably pick up the next 3, this issue plus the next 2 of Iron Man, just to get an Aftermath story arc. But Iron Man's a very great series, and I would definitely recommend it to people. Okay, Avengers number 5. Now we get the origin of the new Smasher. Apparently Smasher's real name is Isabel Dare, and one day she discovers the goggles left by a previous Smasher on her family's farm. She tries them on, and she's sent to the Shi'ar planet Chandralar, where she's inducted as a sub-guardian. And And shortly after her induction as a sub-guardian, she spends a few months in space and comes back to Earth, where she finds out her grandfather's really sick, and he explains everything to her about this whole, and he tries to talk her into taking advantage of this new opportunity of seeing space and everything. And also he gives her Steve Rogers' number, and that's obviously how she joins the Avengers. Back in the present, the Imperial Guard with Smasher are losing a battle, so Smasher decides to call in some reinforcements. Her reinforcements are the Avengers. They show up, and with the Avengers working with the Imperial Guard, they're able to stop the battle, and in the end, Smasher is promoted to the rank of Super Guardian. Okay, well, if you're a fan of the Shi'ar Imperial Guards, you might enjoy this. Also, I don't know, with Hyperion, and this is something that I didn't really want to say last review with Hyperion's origin, but he is a lot like Superman, and because that was Marvel's idea with their creation of Hyperion, was just that he was supposed to be an alternate, their alternate version of Superman, and with Smasher finding the tools she needs to be a hero on Earth, and then chosen to be part of this team, it seems a lot like Green Lantern. So I just want to point that out, because I think a lot of people are going to start saying that, like, oh man, all of Marvel's new Avengers are just rip-offs of DC heroes. No, they're not. They are different. There are some similarities, mind you, but they aren't the same. Okay? Also, and again, right now for Avengers, Hickman's just kind of taking it easy right now. We're not getting into the main story arc that he's planning. Right now, he's just taking it slow for a bit by talking about each of the new members of the Avengers and revealing who they are and where they came from and stuff. So I think that's a good sort of cool off period. I think if you have been curious about Avengers, I'd say last issue and this issue are probably good jumping on points, since right now we're just kind of in the middle of something. We're just kind of in the middle of something and not involved with the big story arc just yet. So good for that. And the actual issue itself, I liked it. It was very nice, very well written. Definitely recommend it to people. Alright, now it's time for All New X-Men number 7. Scott arrives at a bank where apparently he finds his safety deposit box that he's been keeping since he was a kid, and in it he finds a few things. For one thing, some ruby quartz sunglasses, which he's glad he has now, because now he can take off his visor. Also, some cash and a wedding invitation from his and Jean's wedding. And so after Cyclops checks the box and everything, Wolverine shows up and gets Scott out of the bank. But then a few minutes later, when they go into an alley, it's revealed that this Wolverine is actually Mystique in disguise. And so later she talks to Scott and tells him that she was a friend of Charles Xavier, which, let's face it, that's kind of a lie. And and kind of encourages him to go find his future self with his team of X-Men and try to shut down Cyclops' plans. Which, makes sense, because Mystique's kind of giving him... Basically, Mystique is just giving him a pep talk about how he's here now so he can help stop his future self's plans and also stop him from being a total douche. So, this kind of gets... So, Mystique's words kind of get the Cyclops, and when the actual Wolverine shows up, he agrees to go back to the Jean Grey school. And when Wolverine and Scott get back to the school, he finds Jean and just gives her the wedding invitation that they had, gives them their future self's wedding invitation, and she's a little shocked by this, and then Scott just basically gives her the invitation and walks away. Oh, and also, after Mystique talked to Cyclops, she goes into a van with her other associate, and he says that, and she tells him that the reason she talked to Scott is because she wanted the X-Men distracted so that whatever she's planning, they can go through with it without drawing any attention to themselves. Because Mystique pretty much figures that all the X-Men will be focused on what the original X-Men are up to. So yeah, all new X-Men #7, very nice. This is actually a very great series. I would definitely recommend it to anyone looking for a good X-Men book. You should really check out All New X-Men because it's moving pretty fast. And also, I did like how Scott finds out that he and Jean were married, and then he goes and gives it to Jean, and just everything's changed for them. Even though all that stuff has, to us, what's happened to Scott and Jean is history, but for them, it still just happened, and it is very interesting for them for what's going to happen to the original Scott and Jean, what happens next, and I'm curious about that. Also, what Mystique has planned. I think that might be brought up in another X book or not. And again, the actual what Scott's going to do about Cyclops, I don't know, but I really hope he takes Mystique's advice and goes and pretty much tries to shut down his future self. Alright, now last comic, and this is definitely a good comic, something that people thought was going to be terrible, but it's actually turning out to be very nice. Superior Spider-Man, #3. Okay, so pretty much the issue opens up with J. Jonah Jameson setting up a new spider signal, which you can see on the cover. And when Spider-Man sees this, he shows up, throws, and completely destroys it. Well, he destroys part of it, and shuts it down, and Jonah's like, "What are you doing?" And Spider-Man tells him, "Okay, how stupid are you to flash a big light just to let people know I'm here? If you have a problem, just contact me on a secured number." So that was a real funny opening sequence about how it kind of makes fun of the bat signal. And so after the spider signal dialogue, Jonah says that they do have a case. It's pretty much what the Vulture's been up to, and Police Chief Pratchett asks Carly Cooper to work with Spider-Man on the case. And so later in the police lab, Peter's modifying his visor so that he can track the magnetic signal of Vulture's henchmen, and Carly is now starting to suspect what's going on with Peter. And Peter, the real Peter, who's pretty much a ghost entity, whatever, is going, "Yes, thank you. You finally someone notices." And after Spider-Man leaves and he's tracking the Vulture, Otto, who's again Spider-Man, he's focusing on his first meeting with the Vulture. And while he's reliving this memory, Peter Parker is able to somehow project himself into the memory and sort of relive it too. Well, not really relive it in a way, just sort of, he can see what happens, but in kind of a weird sort of a third-dimensional... he can kind of live through the memory. It's hard to explain, but it's like you're seeing the memory and Spider-Man's there. Guess it's not hard to explain. Anyways, Spider Otto eventually finds the Vulture, and Otto knows that the Vulture's pretty much just after money. So when Otto tries to make Vulture an offer saying that he has money, he'll give it to him, Vulture doesn't believe him, orders his henchmen to attack, and when Spider-Man hits one of them, it's discovered that Vulture's henchmen are actually kids. Seriously, that's why they were so small. They were kids, and Otto is very shocked by this. And after he hits the kid, he immediately flashes back to his abusive father, and this is also a memory Peter's seeing as well. And it really gets to, and he's really mad at the Vulture now for actually using kids. And so they pretty much go. Vulture takes to the air, but Spider-Man follows him. They have a big fight in the air until finally Spider-Man orders one of his spider bots to go reactivate the spider signal. And when but this time the spider signal is like at full power, and it completely blinds the Vulture. And then Spider-Man throws Vulture directly into the thing, and pretty much Vulture's might be dead. That's all I'm saying. It's not exactly clear whether or not the Vulture is alive or not, but most likely he's probably dead. And if he is alive, then he's blind. Okay, you can see that in the panels of the comic that when you look at Vulture's eyes right when the lights hit him, he's going to be blind. And so, Spider-Man's actions now are definitely starting to make Carly question what's going on with Peter. But then Otto focuses on the last Vulture case that Carly and him worked on, and saying that he had to show the Vulture what kind of man he really is. And now I think Carly really is starting to suspect that something is wrong with Peter Parker. Okay, well, Superior Spider-Man number 3, very great issue. I really liked how now we are seeing some new developments with what's going on with Peter Parker's presence in his Otto Octavius possessed mind. I like the idea that Peter can sort of like revisit the memories whenever Otto flashes back to a memory, Peter is also there kind of seeing it happen as it unfolds, which is very nice. Do like how they're continuing the suspicions that Peter is different. Can't wait to see. I really want someone to figure out that that something is wrong with Peter, although it is getting very difficult, especially with what's going. I mean, the ending of it though, Carly immediately suspected that something was wrong with Peter, but then Otto tells her about like the last case they worked on involving the Vulture, and I think that was probably the one they did in the Sensational Spider-Man .1s a few months back, and Carly said that, and again, Otto says that he had to show Vulture what kind of man he'd be, and Carly's like, yeah, I get it, and this really freaks Peter out that he's able to lay off some suspicions about what's going on. Overall, I'd say Superior Spider-Man is definitely one of my favorites from Marvel right now, and everyone should really pick it up, because Dan Slott, it doesn't really matter because if Dan Slott is writing Spider-Man, it really doesn't matter who's behind the mask at this point. Okay, well, that's it for my comic reviews. Superior Spider-Man number 3. Otto takes on the Vulture and really nails it to him. Awesome issue, definitely buy. All New X-Men number 7. Mystique tries to give young Cyclops a pep talk, and Scott has a few revelations about what his future holds. Avengers number 5. The secret origins of the new guys continues, although right now we're taking it at a cool state pace, so I think if you want to give Avengers a shot, you should probably wait maybe after next issue when the next story arc begins. But feel free to give the origins a try, since they're basically kind of just standalones at this point. Iron Man number 6, the first part to the God Killer story arc. Really nice, really captures Tony. Really like the beginning with Tony. Really like the way Kieran Gillen writes Tony Stark. Definitely should give it a shot. Green Arrow number 17. If you like the Arrow TV show, you should definitely pick this up because it is an awesome series. Swamp Thing. Animal Man 17 and Swamp Thing 17. Whether you've read just the Rot World the Red or Rot World the Green, pick up both of these issues to get the full conclusion, because you're going to need it. And Smallville Season 11 number 10. This continues the return of Bart Allen. Now Superman and Impulse are going to find Jay Garrick. Really hope at the end of the story arc Bart picks up the Flash mantle. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Spider-Man 1991 saying see you later.